Hey guys, what's going on? Watching the Ravens game right now, but I'm not gonna comment on that. Anyway, I made it into Baltimore yesterday to the Soundgarden, and Chris Goodwin. If you haven't been in there, I'm sure you have, but if you haven't been in there yet since they've been selling all the used vinyl they collected, oh god, you need to get in there because the selection is amazing, amazing. For those of you who don't know, this store usually sells nothing but new sealed stuff. That's the only thing. That's the only vinyl they sell is new stuff. That's why I love it so much. As a person that doesn't really buy used vinyl almost ever, just not interested in it. I don't know. I've never been interested in it. But wow, I really lost my train of... Oh, yeah, anyway, so the store bought up recently all this used vinyl, but they're only really... It seems like they're only selling, like, good condition stuff, like, well-kept, well-preserved, nice used vinyl, It's not a crate digging experience. It's like really nice stuff, and I was digging through it, and I couldn't believe the selection, in the pop rock and in everything, and then the jazz and like the electronic. I was blown away with what they had and what people were willing to sell. I had like a stack of things that I was planning on buying that I'd never heard of, just because they looked so cool and they were cheap, but I ended up really only getting one thing out of that section, unfortunately. If I had more money, but I found a copy of Tubular Bells. I was really close to buying. The jacket was a little torn up, so I decided to not get it. Not like torn up, but like it was like a couple bent corners. Like I said, it was all really well preserved stuff. And then there was a 12-inch live cut from the Mars Volta show, and it was like an acoustic version of Francis the Mute on like this green marble vinyl. Oh, it was just a little too expensive. Just amazing. I could not believe it. Anyway, so the one thing I ended up getting from that section was this. Which, yeah, I haven't heard of this before. Some of you, I'm sure, have. Secret Machines, Alone, what is it? Alone, Jealous, and Stoned. Like $4, and this is like perfect condition, essentially, and even better, it's only like 6 minutes of music. It's just one song. It's like a 12-inch single, but this is, I don't know if you could, yeah, you can't really tell. There's like these silver glittery sparkles in the vinyl, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, I haven't heard of these guys. I'm restraining from looking them up, like, on YouTube and listening to them. I'm restraining from, like, looking up their Wikipedia page or anything about them. I don't want to know a single thing about them. If you know about these guys, you can tell me... Don't tell me anything. I don't want this ruined for me. I want my first experience and introduction to this band to be this when I get it home and on my turntable. So I'm excited for that. And then I picked up a couple more things. When I walked in the store, I immediately saw this. I couldn't believe it. This isn't even out yet, so I was super happy that they were selling it. This is the new Titus Andronicus album. Local business, as you can tell. Nice package, simple, but it's in the perfect condition. There's just nothing better than a perfect record. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing better than that. My views on this, I've been listening to the stream on NPR. This is actually a pretty disappointing album. I consider The Monitor to be one of my favorite albums of all time. Just a masterpiece. I could talk for days about that album. It was like, whatever. I won't get into that. That's a whole separate issue. But essentially, this is a big disappointment. It's good. It's just like when one of your favorite bands puts out an album that's just not very good. It's just sad, because they've got the potential in them. This, to me, The Monitor has like such a strong narrative. It was really well crafted. It was kind of like punk rock's version of The Wall. It was like this big thing, amazing concept, amazing lyrics, and everything was up and down, and like the music and the story, everything was just so well put together. And then they put this out, which is just like a bunch of songs that aren't as good. There's only one on here, in my opinion, that really touches anything on The Monitor, and that's the single In a Big City. It's good. I'll listen to it because it's new and it's Titus Andronicus, but it's sad because it feels like what they did on this was almost like a really lazy approach to putting together an album. It feels like they had had a bunch of songs written that they had like written on the road maybe or something, and then they realized, oh, we've got enough songs to put together an album, and then they put this together, and it's disappointing, man. Because they put it on their website, like in the little press release when they first announced it was coming out, that they said something along the lines of, we're no longer going to be like this separate. We're not going to have this separation where A, when we're live, we're like a rock band, and then B, when we're in the stereo or we're in the studio, we're this writing machine. And they were like, there's only one of us, and we're a rock and roll band. And I was like, what does that mean? And it actually, my worst fears came true. It's just, this just sounds like they had a bunch of songs, they threw them together, and this was the product. It seems like they didn't put enough, like, much thought into the album. They just, underwhelming, in my opinion. Still good, but just, oh man. They're never going to touch the Monitor. There's no way they could ever surpass that. I don't know how they ever could. I don't know how anybody could. So yeah, so that's my little rant on that. Tell me if you feel differently. I'd be surprised, but yeah, I'd love to know. And then don't judge me. I picked up the new Mumford & Sons. If there's one band that I can be hipster about, it's these guys. Okay, I knew about these guys a long time ago. In 2008, actually, like before their first album came out. Like I knew these guys, and that's why they kind of they have this place in my heart as like mine. I found these guys as like this little, European UK band that were putting out these little dainty folk songs, and it was like this, almost like this little. Mumford & Sons is kind of like this. I view them as like this innocent child, in the music world that's doing really cute things, if that makes sense. Just like. You need those simple bands in your collection, I think. Yeah, the lyrics kind of are nauseating sometimes, but you know what? He's really sincere about it. They are sappy, but they're not fake. They're not fake. So that's what's good about these guys, and that's why I make that. That's why I make that comparison to like the child, because when you're that age doing things, you're doing them sincerely. You're doing these like adorable things sincerely. You're not doing them because they're cute. You're doing them because you think they're that's just the way you do things. If that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that very well, but so Mumford & Sons. I know they're not everybody's thing. Everyone's talking about like how they're like the folk Coldplay and just like too simple and just ridiculous. But you know what? I don't care. Some good melody. This is close. I don't really believe in guilty pleasures, but this is the definition of a guilty pleasure for me. It's just good melodies, catchy songs. I like the sound of it. It's really, really overproduced. I think if you're gonna make a folk album, make a folk album. Don't get Justin Bieber's guy to produce it for you, because that's really what it sounds like. It's just too clean. But you know what? I don't care. That's the songwriting. They improved. They didn't do a whole lot. They didn't like change their sound. They didn't change their style. They just got a little better at it. And that's what this is. So a lot of people talk about how it's an extension of their first album, just more songs, more of the same, which it is. I think it's better. I think it's better than the first album. And yeah, they didn't change much, but it's hard for me to get mad at a band for not changing, after you had an overnight success doing it. And if they keep riding this wave and like, put out another album like this and then another one, okay, then there's going to be a problem. But as of right now, they've got 2 albums. So how can you get mad at them for doing what they like, doing what they love? They're not doing it because they know everybody wants to hear that. They're doing it because that's what they love doing. And so that's my argument for Mumford & Sons. Yeah, they're not the greatest, most innovative band, but they're good for what they are, and that's what you have to take them as. So yeah, if they put out another one of these, then I'll start to have a problem, like I said. But until that time comes, I can enjoy listening to this, especially because I got really sick of their first album after a while. So yeah, so that's all I got, guys. Cool. I keep saying I'm gonna, not buy any more records because of how poor I am, but I just, you know how it is. You can't help yourself. Alright, I was this close, by the way, to buying the Flying Lotus Collector's Edition. I was this close. Restrained myself. Anyway, alright, I hope you guys are all having a nice Sunday, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon, with more records. Wouldn't that be nice? Alright, take care, guys.